Here's a pattern you see everywhere. Someone spends years grinding from zero to $30,000 in savings, hits that milestone, and then nothing. They plateau. Years pass and they're still hovering around $30,000 to $40,000, maybe touching $50,000 if they're lucky, but never breaking through to real wealth. This isn't about income. Plenty of high earners get stuck here too. It's about psychology, behavior, and invisible traps that kick in once you hit what feels like enough. Today, I'm exposing why $30,000 is the most dangerous plateau in personal finance, the specific mistakes that lock people into stagnation, and the exact strategies you need to blow past it and keep accelerating towards six figures and beyond. I'm Kyle, and if you've hit $30,000 or you're approaching it, this video will determine whether you coast into mediocrity or push through to real wealth. Stay until the end because most people never hear this truth, and that's why most people never get rich. Let's break it down. The first reason people stop at $30,000 is simple but devastating. They hit comfortable broke. At $30,000, you're not in crisis anymore. You can cover emergencies. You're not stressed every month. You can breathe. And psychologically, that comfort is a killer. The urgency that drove you from zero to $30,000, the fear, the hunger, the discipline, it evaporates. You stop tracking every dollar. You stop optimizing aggressively. You loosen up on spending because I've earned it. You start saying yes to things you used to say no to. Dinners out, small upgrades, spontaneous purchases. Individually, none of these matter. Collectively, they create drag that stops your momentum cold. The paradox is brutal. The success that got you to $30,000 makes you comfortable, and that comfort kills the behaviors that were building wealth. You're no longer desperate, so you stop being disciplined. And discipline, not desperation, is what builds fortunes beyond this point. The second trap is lifestyle inflation, disguised as normal life. At $30,000, people start thinking, I can afford this now. They upgrade apartments, lease nicer cars, subscribe to more services, take better vacations. Nothing extreme, but just incremental upgrades that feel reasonable. But here's the math. If you're saving $10,000 a year to build $30,000, and then you increase spending by just $500 per month on lifestyle upgrades, you've cut your savings rate in half. Now you're saving $4,000 a year instead of $10,000. At that pace, it takes 17 years to reach $100,000 instead of 7. Most people don't see this happening because it's gradual and feels justified. They're not being reckless, they're just living a little. But living a little at the wrong time costs you a decade of wealth building. The people who break through $30,000 are the ones who resist lifestyle inflation ruthlessly and keep their savings rate high even when they don't have to. Comfort is expensive, and most people pay that price without realizing it. Another killer, people stop investing in growth once they hit $30,000. They plateau professionally because they stop learning, stop networking, stop taking risks. When you're broke, you hustle for every opportunity. You learn new skills, you network aggressively, you're hungry for the next level. But at $30,000, people get complacent. They stay in the same job, doing the same thing because it's good enough. They stop reading, stop taking courses, stop challenging themselves. They coast. And when you coast financially, you coast professionally, which means your income stagnates. If your income doesn't grow, your wealth building slows to a crawl. The brutal truth is that getting from $30,000 to $100,000 requires a different skill set and income level than getting from $0 to $30,000. Most people hit $30,000 and stop growing as people, which means they stop growing their net worth. Wealthy people never stop learning, never leveling up, never asking, what's next? Comfort is where growth goes to die. Here's another reason. At $30,000, people shift from accumulation mode to preservation mode. They start thinking, I don't want to lose this, instead of, how do I multiply this?
They become risk-averse. They keep everything in cash or conservative savings accounts, earning 1 to 2%, terrified of market volatility. They don't start businesses, don't invest aggressively, don't take calculated risks because they're afraid of going backwards. This is psychological self-sabotage. The mindset that got you to $30,000 is exactly the mindset that traps you there. To break through, you need to shift from preservation to strategic deployment. That $30,000 should be working for you, invested in diversified assets, funding side businesses, or leveraged to create more income streams. Cash sitting in savings is dying slowly to inflation. Wealthy people don't hoard, they deploy. If you're sitting on $30,000 doing nothing with it, you've stopped building, you're just maintaining. Social comparison kicks in hard at $30,000. You look around and most people don't even have $30,000. You feel ahead, and that satisfaction kills your hunger. You stop comparing yourself to where you want to be and start comparing yourself to average people who are broke. You think, I'm doing better than most, and use that to justify slowing down. But better than most is a losing standard. Most people are broke. Most people retire poor. Most people work until they die. If your benchmark is the average person, you'll get average results, which means financial mediocrity. Wealthy people don't compare themselves to average, they compare themselves to the next version of themselves. They measure progress against their own goals, not against their broke peers. If you've hit $30,000 and you're feeling satisfied, that's the warning sign. Satisfaction at $30,000 means you've accepted a ceiling most people never break through. Reset your benchmark. Another massive trap. People think $30,000 is a lot of money, so they stop being aggressive. Newsflash, $30,000 is not rich. It's barely a down payment on a house in most markets. It's 1 year of modest living expenses. It's not FU money. It's not even take a year off money. Yet people treat it like they've made it and they throttle back. They stop side hustling. They don't look for raises. They don't optimize. They settle into a comfortable rhythm that produces $30,000 to $50,000 indefinitely, but never breaks through to six figures. The math is clear. If you want $100,000, you need to stay in the aggressive growth zone until you hit it. That means maintaining the same intensity, discipline, and hunger at $30,000 that you had at $10,000. Most people can't sustain that intensity because they miss progress for arrival. They think they've climbed the mountain when they've only reached base camp. The real climb starts at $30,000. If you're not willing to keep grinding, you'll camp here forever.
The strategy to break through is straightforward but hard. Treat $30,000 like you treated $10,000. That means maintaining your savings rate, staying disciplined, and refusing lifestyle inflation. If you were saving 30 to 40% of your income to hit $30,000, keep saving 30 to 40% to hit $100,000. If you were tracking every expense, keep tracking. If you were saying no to impulse buys, keep saying no. The moment you relax is the moment your growth stalls. Second, start deploying capital aggressively. Move a significant portion, say 50 to 70%, into diversified investments, index funds, ETFs, or real estate if you're knowledgeable. Keep 30 to 50% liquid for emergencies and opportunities, but stop hoarding everything in cash. Third, reignite income growth. Negotiate a raise, switch jobs for a 20% bump, launch a side business, or add a scalable income stream. If your income isn't growing 10 to 15% annually, you're coasting. Fourth, surround yourself with people who are at $100,000 plus and learn from them. Your environment dictates your standards. Let's talk about the mindset shift required. At $30,000, you need to consciously reject comfort and choose intensity. That sounds dramatic, but it's real. Comfort is a wealth killer. Every time you feel like you've earned the right to relax, remind yourself that relaxing now costs you years of freedom later. The people who build serious wealth don't celebrate milestones with lifestyle upgrades. They celebrate by setting bigger goals and attacking them immediately. When you hit $30,000, your next thought should be, how do I hit $50,000 in 12 months? Not, I deserve a vacation. Discipline at this stage isn't about deprivation, it's about vision. You're choosing 5 years of focused intensity over 40 years of financial mediocrity. You're choosing future freedom over present comfort. Most people don't make that choice consciously, which is why most people plateau. Make the choice deliberately, in writing, and commit to it. The fork in the road is right here at $30,000. One path leads to $100,000, financial independence, and options. The other leads to hovering at $30,000 forever. Common mistakes that trap people at $30,000. First, stopping savings automation. They switch from automatic to manual, and willpower fails. Keep automation locked in. Second, justifying small splurges that add up. It's just $200, becomes $2,400 per year, which is 6+ months of progress lost. Third, not investing because I'll wait until I have more. You'll never have more if you don't start deploying. Fourth, getting into a rhythm that produces $30,000 indefinitely but never challenges you. Routines create plateaus. Fifth, measuring success by net worth milestones instead of by growth rate. Ask, am I growing faster this year than last? Not just, did I hit the milestone? Seventh, surrounding yourself with people stuck at the same level who normalize stagnation. Eighth, losing the hunger that got you here. Hunger is a choice. Choose it daily. Fix these mistakes and you'll blow past $30,000 within 18 months. Ignore them and you'll be stuck here for a decade. Here's the accelerator strategy. Once you hit $30,000, immediately implement the 50-30-20 deployment rule. 50% of your net worth goes into growth investments, stocks, real estate, or business. 30% stays liquid for emergencies and opportunities, but stop hoarding everything in cash. Review and rebalance quarterly. As your investments grow, keep the ratios consistent. This ensures you're always deploying capital, always learning, and always protected. Combine this with a 15% annual income growth mandate. If you're not growing income 15% year over year, you're not trying hard enough. That means raises, side income, or new ventures. Track this metric ruthlessly. Finally, set a breakout deadline. Give yourself 24 months to hit $50,000 and 48 months to hit $100,000. Deadlines create urgency. Without urgency, you drift. At the core, $30,000 is a test. It tests whether you're building wealth or just accumulating money. It tests whether you have the discipline to keep going when comfort tempts you to stop. It tests whether you want freedom badly enough to delay gratification for another 3 to 5 years. Most people fail this test because they don't even know they're taking it. They think hitting $30,000 means they've won, when really it's just the entry ticket to the real game. Start today. Audit your last 3 months of spending and identify where lifestyle inflation crept in. Cut it. Recommit to your original savings rate. Move 50% of your $30,000 into investments immediately. Set a 24-month goal for $50,000 and reverse engineer the monthly targets. Find one person at $100,000 plus and ask how they broke through. Tell me in the comments if you've hit this plateau and how you're attacking it. And remember, $30,000 is not the destination, it's the crossroads. One path leads to wealth, the other leads to comfortable broke forever. Choose wisely.